Hello everyone, I am Praveena. I deal with computer organization. Now in this video, we will discuss about computer types and functional units. So you of unit 1. Unit 1 is divided into two parts. Basic structure of computer is the first part and input output organization is the second part. So before going to discuss about the computer types, let me introduce the computer organization. Now here this is the block diagram of computer which is having input device, output device, central processing unit and memory unit. Now these are all called as hardware components of the computer. Now computer organization refers to the arrangement and interconnection of all these hardware components within a computer system to perform tasks efficiently and reliably. Now, we will see the first topic of Unit 1, computer types. Now, what is computer? Just now we have seen the block diagram. From the input device, data is fed to the to the memory or central processing unit. And here the ALU will do some calculation, do some process. And again, the data will be stored into the memory. Sometimes it will give the data result to the output device. So computer is basically a fast electronic calculating machine. So depending upon size, cost, computational power, and intended use, there are five different types of computers are there. The first one is personal computer. This is the most common type found at home, school, business offices, which is having a desktop with a processing and storage units along with input output devices. Notebook computer. These are compact and portable version of personal computers. Next one is workstation. These have high resolution input output graphics capability but with the same dimensions as a desktop computer. These are used in engineering applications, especially for interactive design works. Then fourth one is enterprise systems. These are used for business data processing in medium to large corporations that require much more computing power and storage capacity than workstation. And the fifth one is supercomputers. These are used for large scale numerical calculations required in applications like weather forecasting, etc. Next topic, functional unit. No, this is the block diagram of computer, but here connections are not shown. So we are discussing about functional unit means what is the use of each and every unit. That's why we are not making any connections between these unit. Now it is having five components. First one is input unit, output unit, ALU, control unit, and memory. Input and output both together we call it as IO unit. ALU and control unit both together we call it as a processor. Now before going to discuss about each and every unit, let us discuss about the few terminologies. So here computer always take the information from the input device. Now information is nothing but it is a combination of instruction and data or opcode and operand. Instruction is nothing but a command which we are giving to the computer to do some task. And on what data it has to do the task, that is nothing but a data or operand. That is nothing but a numerical numbers. Generally, we write the program, we feed the program through the input device, and that program will be converted into the machine level language program by using the compiler. Now, first unit is input unit. Generally, we write the high level language program or information that is fed to the computer through the keyboard. Keyboard is the example for the input device. Whenever we press the key, that the corresponding word or number is translated into its equivalent binary code over a cable and fed either to the processor or to the memory. Now, other examples for the input devices is mouse, scanner, joystick, etc. So, mainly the input devices used to give the information to the processor. The next one is memory unit. The function of memory unit is to store the program and data and also intermediate result. So basically two types are there. One is a primary storage, a primary memory, and the secondary memory. These are the basic types. Actually, other type of memories are also there that in detailed information we will study in the unit 2. Now here let me explain about the primary memory. It is the memory which is exclusively associated with the processor and operates at high speed. And whenever we try to execute the program must be stored in this primary memory. Memory contains a large number of semiconductor storage cells. Now, if this box is, if you consider it as a memory space, now this complete memory is divided into parts like this. The complete memory is divided into part. Each part is called as a memory location, and this location is indicated by one address that is called as a memory address. And this location is nothing but a group of semiconductor storage cells, nothing but a flip-flops, group of flip-flops. And each cell or flip-flop holds one binary value that is 0 or 1. How many number of flip-flops are grouped together, that is called the length of the memory, word length or word size of the memory. And this word is indicated by address. Now if the processor want to read the data, it will give the address, so it will go to that particular address, and whatever the data is in that location. For example, processor has given this address location. Now whatever the data is mentioned here, that will be placed onto the data bus, and processor will read the data. Now if the processor want to store the data, it will give the address, and it will go to that particular location, and it will store the data into that location. And again, this memory is divided into two parts. One is RAM and another one is a ROM. In a RAM is read and write or random access memory. Now here we can read the data and also we can write the data. But ROM is we can only read the data, we can't write. That ROM is, most of the ROM is allocated for the operating system programs. Now again, cache memory is also there. Cache memories are a small and fastest RAM unit which are coupled with the processor, and frequently used data will be stored into the cache to increase the speed of the speed of the system. Now the next one is a secondary memory. Secondary memory, now if we need to store the large amount of data and program, then we have to store that data into the secondary memory. The best example for the secondary memory is hard disks. Usually whenever you try to write any program or if you wanted to feed any data, generally we store the data into the hard disk. Whenever you are going to execute the program, that program will be loaded into the primary memory or in the RAM, and processor will execute that program. Next one is ALU, arithmetic logic unit. Most of the computer operators are executed in ALU. So ALU performs the arithmetic operations and logical operations. Arithmetic operations are like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, etc. And logical operations are anding, oring, noting. These are all the logical operations. And after the process, after completing the ALU operation, that data again will be stored into the memory, or sometimes it will be given to the output device. Now, output unit. Output unit is a counterpart of the input unit. So after the its function is to send the processed result to the outside world. The most familiar example of such a device is a printer. Now, control unit. The last unit is control unit. The complete process inside the computer is controlled by the control unit. Now, to transfer the data between input data from input device out to the processor, or processor to the output device, or memory to the processor, or memory to the IO devices, everything will be, all the transfer will be controlled or governed by the control unit. Now, with this, how the operation takes place inside the computer. It accepts the information from the input device and stores that information or program into the memory. Whenever we need to execute the program, that program will be bring it to the RAM memory, and that is called as a fetching. So whenever program is executed, being executed, the data, getting the data from the memory to the processor is called as fetching. One more technical word you have to remember is fetching. And fetch the information stored in the memory under program control into the ALU, and in the, and where the information is processed. And after completing the process, that information will be stored into the memory again, or sometimes it will be given to the output device. This is all about the operations of computer. Now with this, today's two topics are over.